This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Melinda Akilami.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, return to the negotiation table. Federal government appeals to organized labor ahead of the planned indefinite strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress on Monday. Planned industrial action will cripple the nation's economy. Governor of Bauchi State raises concerns, says government cannot afford to pay minimum wage figure proposed by Labour. In continuation of our assessment of President Bola Tinubu's 1 year in office, tonight we shift focus to the health sector. And a new political landscape emerges in South Africa as the nation's ruling party, the African National Congress, continues to lose grip on power.
And on business, the Naira drops 5.6% against the dollar, the official foreign exchange market in May, despite improved forex liquidity and the central bank's efforts to impose restrictions on BDC activities.
And on sports news tonight, Angolan champions Petro Atletico beat Al Ahly Tripoli of Libya to win the 2024 Basketball Africa League title at the BK Arena in Kigali, Rwanda.
In a move to avert a total shutdown of the nation's economy beginning from Monday, the federal government is appealing to organized labor to shelve its planned industrial action and return to the negotiation table. This appeal was made by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, at a news conference in Abuja, where he urged labor to consider the implications of its demands on other responsibilities of government. The Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC had on Friday declared a nationwide indefinite strike beginning from Monday, June the 3rd, owing to the inability of the Tripartite Committee on New Minimum Wage to reach a consensus.
Barely 24 hours to the commencement of the nationwide strike declared by the labor unions on Friday, this news conference by the Minister of Information and National Orientation is holding to speak on some of the issues surrounding the minimum wage negotiation. Members of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress had declared a nationwide indefinite strike on Friday, citing the inability of the Tripartite Committee to reach an agreement on a new minimum wage.
We are hereby declaring the commencement of a nationwide industrial action, a nationwide strike, effective from Monday, June 3rd, 2024. And this strike shall be indefinite. And this strike shall be on until we have a new national minimum wage, until government is serious and also the tariff increment in electricity is reversed.
Prior to the declaration of strike, the organized labor had rejected 3 offers of the federal government and have even staged a walkout from the meeting. However, at this news conference, the Minister of Information and National Orientation appeals to the labor unions to shelve the planned strike.
There is a tripartite committee set up. There are 3 parts to that tripartite committee: government, the organized private sector, and the organized labor. 2 of that part, which is 2/3, are already in agreement. It is only labor that has not yet accepted that position. I'm therefore appealing to the organized labor to see that they return to the negotiating table so that we have a meaningful wage regime for Nigerians.
The minister urges the organized labor to consider the financial implications of their demands on the country's revenue.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not only considering the plight of federal workers, That's only about 1.2 million, but is also concerned about the welfare of the other 200 million Nigerians. This is because the federal government's guiding principle is affordability, sustainability, and the overall health of the nation's economy.
The federal government had, during the 6th meeting of the tripartite committee, offered to pay 60,000 naira as minimum wage, an offer the organized labor rejected as they insist on a 497,000 naira new minimum wage.
Meanwhile, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State has also raised concerns about the planned strike, saying that the nation could be plunged into a state of extreme hardship. He said this after paying a courtesy visit to the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, at his country home. Others in the delegation were Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State and members of the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, including the acting national chairperson, Mr. Umar Damagum, and the former Deputy Senate leader, Senator Abdul Ningi.
My position is position of the governors. I was a member of the technical committee, and we have a position, they have a position. I believe their position is something that we cannot meet. As a governor who had always been labor-friendly, I have always looked forward to making sure that workers get the best in terms of welfare, in terms of salaries and wages. But it has to be affordable, something that is within the threshold of affordability by all the subnational and local governments. Definitely what the federal government even negotiated, some of the state governors will not be able to pay. Even at the moment, the current minimum wage of 30,000, some states are not able to pay. And I know labor leaders are really leaders. They should look at this because strike may cripple the economy and further cause pain to workers and all of us. So we are pleading that we should have a converging point where we can look at our affordability and of course the economy, the economics of all the increases in wages, vis-a-vis inflation and what have you, and the attitude and mindset of Nigerians. You know what happened during the Udoji and Adebo, how it caused a spiral inflationary trend in the country. And I believe we have to do it with the hindsight of knowledge, our capacity to do what we can do, not for subnationals to go and borrow money to pay salaries. Definitely the most important thing are services and infrastructure.
In other matters of governance, the Vice President Kashim Shettima says for Nigeria to continue to survive as a nation, politicians and legal practitioners must lend support to the issue of access to justice and equity and not frustrate the process. Vice President Shettima explains that no matter the system of government in place, the challenges of oppression, marginalization, and injustice will continue to be at the front burner of national discourse in the absence of justice. He was speaking at the 13th anniversary of a law outfit in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital.
Our experiments with the puppet system of government to adopt since gaining independence in 1960s have produced a lesson we have refused to acknowledge, and that lesson remains even if we revert to another system of government. We have sought refuge in the presidential system of government because we have practiced a parliamentary system and because we have endured the military system. The convergence of each experiment reveals that no matter what we practice, we cannot stop the equation of oppression or marginalization unless there is justice. Justice in the allocation of resources and justice in the distribution of dividends. I believe that those clamoring for another system fail to grasp a fundamental truth. The convergence in all the systems we have practiced so far is the administration of justice. And that's the oxygen cylinder on which our current system must rely, and that's the promise we are prepared to fulfill to the nation. Our dream of a functional tripartite system can only materialize if each of us fulfills our obligations to the nation.
For the former governor of Lagos, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, querying the system of government is not enough. According to him, beyond just interrogating the system, emphasis should be placed on those running it.
In addition to querying the system, we must query ourselves and decide whether we are the problem instead of the system. If we do this, I think that we will find the convergence that I believe Yusuf Ali wants us to find, at the point where we resolve to focus less on power and resource sharing and more on optimizing the existing powers and resources that already exist for our collective benefit. All told, I urge that we must reflect very deeply, we must interrogate intensely, and we must look very hard before we leap.
The president has condemned the killing of 5 soldiers by suspected militants of the proscribed terrorist organization IPOB, describing it as unwarranted, barbaric, and evil. In a personal statement, President Bola Tinubu said the act involving soldiers who were on peacekeeping duty and coming just 2 months after a similar tragic incident happened in Okwama, Delta State, should never be condoned and tolerated in the country. He urged security agencies not only to fish out the masterminds and perpetrators of the Aba attack, but also those calling on people to stay at home, as their actions are nothing but treasonable. While extending his condolences to the family of the 5 slain soldiers, their colleagues, and the leadership of the armed forces, the president urged other men and women on peacekeeping duty not to be discouraged by the unfortunate incident in Aba. Meanwhile, the state governor, Dr. Alex Ochi, has paid a condolence visit to the wives of the 5 army personnel. Speaking during the condolence visit, Governor Ochi gave the assurance that the killers will be fished out to face the law. He also promised that the state government will provide scholarships up to university level for all the children of the soldiers.
Wherever they are, wherever they run to, we are going to work like we have always done, very closely with the security agencies, particularly intelligence units of the security agencies, to ensure that we leave no stone unturned. So I want to reassure the military high command and the leadership of the military in Abia that we are working together to ensure that we bring those people to book. That is the only thing that we'll do. I want to sympathize with you and to assure you that we are behind you. We have in our release also saying that we are not going to leave you alone. But because your husbands died here in Abia, we have adopted you as daughters of Abia, and your children as children of Abia. We also have put a plan in place to ensure that your children, madam, you have 5 children.
Yes.
All of them will get automatic scholarship until they finish university.
To Rivers State, where at least 1 person is reported to have been killed following the violence that erupted in Eweda community in Emwoha local government area yesterday. The incident is believed to have started when some youths in the community staged a protest against the individual occupying the position of community liaison officer. It was gathered that following the uproar, the divisional police officer addressed the crowd, after which they left, only to gather at another location. An eyewitness account has it that operatives of the local security fired some gunshots into the air, apparently to disperse the crowd, but 1 person identified as innocent Didia was killed in the process. Following the fatal shooting, angry youths set fire to the car belonging to the leader of the security outfit and destroyed his house. The police spokesperson in the state told Channels Television that 9 people have been taken into custody following the incident. In part 2, after the break, the nation's health sector comes under the spotlight as we continue our assessment of President Bola Tinubu's 1 year in office. That's in a moment. Join us.
Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and partners, introduced the HPV vaccine across 16 states in 2023 and is rolling out the vaccine in the remaining 21 states. Nigeria records over 12,000 new cervical cancer cases annually, leading to about 8,000 deaths, ranking the second most common cause of cancer deaths among women. The good news is, cervical cancer can be prevented with vaccination. Adhering to the Global Cervical Cancer Elimination Strategy of vaccination, screening, early diagnosis and treatment, the human papillomavirus vaccine will be administered to girls aged 9 to 14 years in schools, communities, and all primary healthcare facilities in the 21 states, starting 27th May 2024. Protect our girls against cervical cancer and other HPV-related diseases by vaccination with HPV vaccine. HPV vaccine and all other vaccines are free, safe, and effective. Women of reproductive age and above are encouraged to go for screening. This message is from NPHCDA and partners. For further inquiries, call 7722, toll free.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder about top stories. Return to the negotiation table. Federal government appeals to organized labor ahead of the planned indefinite strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress beginning on Monday. Planned industrial action will cripple the nation's economy. Governor of Bauchi State raises concern, says government cannot afford to pay minimum wage figure proposed by Labour. In continuation of our assessment of President Bola Tinubu's 1 year in office, tonight we shift focus to the health sector. And a new political landscape emerges in South Africa as the nation's ruling party, the African National Congress, continues to lose grip on power. It's a mixed bag of emotions for Nigerians as far as the health sector is concerned in the last 1 year. For decades, the sector has been marred by challenges, including inadequate infrastructure, poor funding, human resource deficit, high disease burden, just to mention a few. However, since President Bola Tinubu assumed office on May 29, 2023, the administration has been making efforts to revamp the sector. In continuation of our assessment of 1 year of President Bola Tinubu, our health correspondent Victoria Longjohn reviews the sector and what lies ahead.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
President Bola Tinubu, on assumption of office on May 29, 2023, made the health sector one of his priority areas and appointed Professor Ali Pate as the Minister of Health and US-based nephrologist Dr. Tunji Alausa as the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare on August 23, 2023.
Nigeria, so help me God.
Professor Pate made it clear from the moment he assumed office that a new approach is needed to address the challenges in the health sector, as he anchored his blueprint on 4 pillars. They are effective governance, improved population health outcomes, unlocking healthcare value chains, and health security. The approach birthed the Nigeria Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative on December 12, 2023, and the signing of the Health Renewal Compact by governors of the 36 states and the FCT, which will be implemented through a sector-wide approach. To set the ball rolling, in January 2024, 1.3 trillion naira was allocated to the health sector in the 2024 budget. This represents 4.6% of the total budget. However, it falls short of the Abuja Declaration by African heads of states, which stipulates that 15% of the national budget be earmarked for the health sector. This budgetary allocation further raised concerns about meeting the healthcare needs of the nation, especially given the persistent economic realities necessitated by the removal of fuel subsidy and the impact of foreign exchange. In the primary healthcare delivery system, the administration took steps to address the challenges by moving to revive the primary healthcare facilities, recruit more health workers, and the infusion of 25 billion naira into the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and the National Health Insurance Authority. The idea is to improve health outcomes for Nigerians.
There has to be a clearer accountability mechanism and clearer indication of where those funds are going to be used. And wherever they're going to be used, there needs to be a monitoring evaluation process and how are they performing. People need to see some of those quick wins from the current administration to gain that trust.
A big distress for Nigeria is the high burden of communicable and non-communicable diseases. The impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and its aftermath expose the inadequacies in Nigeria's response to infectious diseases. Hence, the call for a well-funded health security architecture.
We all know that when an outbreak happens, it's not going to happen in some mall in Abuja or Lagos. It often happens in communities. And how quickly are those communities able to respond? So, a coordinating mechanism through which the Ministries of Agriculture, Environment, and Health work collectively in this one health umbrella to ensure that our health security is protected has to be one of the focuses, I think, going forward.
Perhaps the biggest challenge in the sector is the rising rate of brain drain, which is worsening the shortage of healthcare workers and impacts the quality of healthcare available to citizens.
Until we have government officials using government hospitals, we can't solve this problem. We can't solve this problem. So when you have senators and House of Rep members and ministers come to these hospitals, for example, and pick up a card and see what the consulting rooms look like, maybe they will have a rethink. Maybe when they are wheeled to the theater and they hear that, oh, the oxygens are not working, maybe they will have a rethink. Maybe when they come to the hospital and then you wheel them to the accident emergency and there's no electricity, maybe they will have a rethink. But these men are powerful. They have access to very good doctors. So the one doctor to 10,000 patients does not apply to them.
Nevertheless, the administration prides itself on bringing some stability to the sector, particularly with the deployment of resources to primary healthcare, infrastructure, cancer treatment, amongst others.
People are coming into the country to get health care from other sub-Saharan Africa, from India, even from Europe. You go to several hospitals in Lagos and some of our capital cities. People are coming. The cost of getting surgery is cheaper here. People are coming to get cancer care. And we're adding more cancer centers to the already existing one. The president gave approval not too long ago for us to build 6 new cancer centers, as well as add night diagnosis centers to all across the 6 geopolitical zones. These are in addition to what we already have. We're funding our hospital better. We're adding more equipment to our hospitals. Things are much better.
While the administration takes pride in the investments made in the health sector, Nigerians are waiting for the impact on their lives, as the government is optimistic that the plans for the health sector will meet the yearnings of the citizens. In Abuja, Victoria Longjon for Channels Television News.
Let's get more insight into this subject matter. And joining us live from our Abuja studios is a public health expert and managing partner at Rolling Stones Consultancy, Dr. Hamid Adediran. A pleasure having you with us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much for having me. Good evening, Via.
Now let's begin by getting your assessment of the health sector in Nigeria in the last 1 year under President Bola Tinubu.
All right, thank you very much. The health sector in the last 1 year of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can best be viewed as what you see when you go to a site that's under construction and at the foundation level. If you have deep insight, you may be able to appreciate the prospects of the building that would spring up from whatever you're seeing. But at that time, you're not likely to have a full picture of what is currently on ground. So for us, for me, what I see is the way we look at it is you can either say the cup is half full or half empty. I choose to see it as half full. So far, we can see progress, significant progress, which also brings us to asking more questions and hoping that with this we can have some kind of iteration in the coming years of the administration. But so far, yes, the first year, the government is apparently starting on a relatively fair note. And if you look at it from the renaming of the office, the portfolio of being a coordinating minister of health and social welfare, which means that we're beginning to see health as something quite close to social welfare and not just a standalone. Okay. There is a lot more that needs to be done, but starting from there and looking at the renewed hope agenda that was released by the coordinating minister of health and social welfare, Professor Alipate, may I also add that the choice of the coordinating minister and his minister of state look quite impressive and perfect, and we're looking forward to what more we can get out of the system.
So what do you consider the most crucial step to be taken to lift the health sector out of its current state?
Well, for us, there are 6 building blocks of the health system strengthening, and it appears that we are on the track because one of the some of the key important levels are things around service delivery. You talk about workforce, you talk about financing, you talk about health security, and it would appear that the 4 pillars of the renewed health agenda of this government is in line with that. So for us, if you look at, first of all, the issue around workforce, there's efforts going in that direction to train people, and not necessarily the healthcare, the core professionals of doctors, nurses, midwives, laboratory scientists. Now, I appreciate the fact that we're looking into the communities, talking about the community health extension workers, CHIPS. Training 120,000 of them will definitely get us to where we need to go. However, we need to also look beyond what we discuss in Abuja. We need to understand that the health sector is beyond what happens at the federal level or at the national level. We need more commitments from the states because they have a lot of influence. They're quite close to the community. They're quite close to the people. They're in charge of some of these centers at the secondary level and, of course, the primary level. I mean, going at down to the subnational level from the states to the local government level at this time. We should also keep track of what's happening in the private health sector, because we have reports that up to 60% of Nigerians seek their healthcare services from the private health sector. So we need to look in this direction as well. But so far, the infrastructural support is looking promising. The funding commitment is also looking promising. But I also have to emphasize that we need to start looking beyond donor funding, international support, to domestic resource mobilization. The Abuja Declaration of 15% should not just be a figure that we talk about every year. Meanwhile, our budgets will sit at 4.6% of the total budget, which is a far cry. And also not even enough, and there's a lot that needs to be done. So we need to start looking at how well we can use our local resources.
Okay, Dr. Hamid, if I may, let's talk about the issue of brain drain. It's a major challenge with so many doctors leaving the country. What can the government do to address this situation? If you can just quickly tell us in a few seconds.
The government is... Yes, the government is looking in the direction of increasing the number of intakes at the training level, at the undergraduate level. But beyond this, I also think that commensurate remuneration would be what would help us to get retain more people from considering leaving this country. If you're being paid for the work being done and you feel you're being appreciated and compensated adequately, I think that it will help us in this regard to reverse the brain drain that we're experiencing in the country. Also, maybe we also, as a government, need to encourage people to see why they need to support the government, promote the sense of patriotism, because this is actually a lot of what determines whether someone decides to stay back or decides to seek for greener pasture to make personal ends meet. So for me, I believe that the government, we're on the right track, but a lot more still needs to be done. We also need to provide an enabling environment. If I work in a facility, in a health care facility, and I don't have all the resources that I need to work with, it can be frustrating, and it can be contribute to the push factor that takes people out of Nigeria. So let's have an enabling environment. Let's have the healthcare providers being adequately compensated, and let them be encouraged to stay back. Let them feel happy to be serving their country and providing services such as health, including social welfare, for the people. And of course, let's not forget the community, and let's invest in behavioral change so that we can have better health-seeking behaviors for the people. And of course, we can prevent the occurrence of diseases so that people don't get to health facilities when it's rather too late and the healthcare providers have little or nothing to do to salvage the situation. Okay,
Dr. Hamid Adeniro, it's a pleasure sharing your thoughts with us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much for having me.
Still ahead on the News at 10, the Naira drops 5.6% against the dollar at the official foreign exchange market in May, despite improved forex liquidity and the CBN's restrictions on BDC activities. That's on Business News. Please join us again.
There are 1,001 ways to start your day.
Whether you're in Lagos, Nigeria,
in London or anywhere in the world,
or online,
a perfect start to our day, don't we?
7 a.m. Every weekday, we bring you a better way to start your day.
Welcome back. Some members of the All Progressives Congress National Working Committee are backing Governor Hyacinth Alia for what they term as his record development in Benue State in the last 1 year. The Deputy National Secretary of the party, Mr. Festus Fonta, and the National Woman Leader, Mrs. Mary Idele, gave the endorsement at a colloquium to mark the governor's first year in office. The two party leaders urged Governor Alia not to be distracted in his effort to fulfill his campaign promises to the people.
Key infrastructural projects like the 16 township roads in Makurdi with concrete cast drainages, among many other projects, have been the scorecard of Governor Hyacinth Alia's first term in office. To situate the one-year journey in perspective, the guests, including some members of the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress and scholars, gathered at the Benue State University for a colloquium on how to ensure the development of Benue State.
Benue is one of the states.
The guest lecturer is Reverend Father Patrick Alumunku. He urges the governor to invest in media campaigns that showcase the strength and agro-allied potentials of the state.
We need to be able to build those industries. Now, there are people who can help, but if we use a good communication technique, this information can reach out to people who can then come to help us.
However, the Second Republic Commissioner for Water and Power lauds the governor for ditching the old-fashioned politics to empower the common man.
If salaries are paid, every worker now carries him or herself with considerable dignity. Were you to pay only salaries and pensions alone in the next 4 years, you will deserve a second term.
Members of the National Working Committee of the party commend the governor for his efforts and urge him to stay focused on the task of improving Benue State.
Do not be dismayed. Distractions are expected in this kind of situations. Your capacity to overlook these distractions and remain focused to your goal as to the drive that gave you the confidence and the courage to run for this position should be the guiding principle for the years to come.
The governor, who is at loggerheads with some members of the party in the state, explains what he believes is the reason for the disagreement.
The little resources that came must be shared on the table with the few people as beneficiaries. And it is like this was somehow written in stone. And for a shift to be made, it is not a question of presenting superior arguments, but pleading with those people to have a change of thinking, doing something very differently so that they understand the new dynamics that are brought to bear.
The governor assures the people that he will continue to work for the development of the state.
Governor Usman Ododo is calling on the opposition parties in Kogi State to join hands with him to ensure rapid development in the state. The governor described the recent affirmation of his victory at the tribunal as a further motivation for his administration to continue to improve on social welfare, security of lives and property, access to free education and quality health care. Governor Ododo said this in Lokoja, the state capital, while addressing APC members who came to welcome him to the state after the verdict of the state election tribunal.
For the victory for the people of Kogi State. This victory is for you. And I commend you for standing by your mandate. You have asked us to hold your mandate. It is a trust bestowed on us, not only me. And I'm very happy that you stood by your mandate from the beginning up to the last judgment. Yes. That has shown that Project Kogi has come to stay. Our concern is to make sure that every single soul of our dear state are protected. Our ensure that every zone of these states have free access to quality education. Our focus and concern is to make sure that we have access to healthcare facilities at a very affordable price. Let me tell you today that I am part of you.
To Gombe State, where the investment drive of the governor, Inuwa appears to have turned another corner as the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission collaborates with the state to shore up its efforts. Gombe is the pilot state in the northeast and one out of the 3 states in Nigeria for the implementation of the UNDP-funded Nigerian Investment Certification Program for states. The program will help generate data to market the potential of the pilot states on the global stage in order to woo investors in critical sectors.
Governor, His Excellency the Governor.
Successes recorded by Gombe State in ensuring a conducive business climate for investors seems to be paying off as the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission has tipped Gombe State for greater investment opportunities globally. Crowned twice as best state with ease of doing business in 2021 and 2022 by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, Gombe State has continued to up its game by putting up an 18 billion naira industrial park, an asset which has caught the eye of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, who intend to showcase it to investors all over the world.
Creating a very robust and responsive website is very important. So we've seen that your website is actually very good, but it would be good if the Investment Promotion Agency has its own website that's linked, so there can be a link, it can be separate, it can be an appendage or whatever, but people need access to information. And in this day and age, even if the capacity does not exist, which I'm sure it does, locally, it can even be outsourced and managed from wherever, as long as they get the information that they require.
Gombe State has also received a pat on the back for the robust implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs, further adding to its business traction on the global stage.
In the past year has been instrumental in the setup of the Gombe Investment Promotion Agency, which we're very proud of. And as an institution, we champion the cause of Gombe and some of the really inspiring things that the state is doing to attract capital, especially with the recent announcement of a green bond issuance that was done in January at the Nigerian Exchange.
For the government of Gombe State, the opportunity to get Gombe State's business data ready for potential investors to take advantage of the 1,000-hectare Gombe Industrial Park and other business structures is an exciting prospect.
Gombe is business friendly. Our location too has made us to be business friendly. And we share boundary with the remaining 5 states of the northeast. And in 2-3 hours, you get to the headquarters of each of those states. And those states happen to share boundary with some other countries, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger Republic. So whatever you do here in terms of investment will provide you access to market, not only for the northeast, but for the whole of the sub-region plus the remaining 3 countries, especially their fringe towns within the fringes of their borders.
As Gombe Industrial Park is built to be showcased at the 2025 SDGs Global Investment Forum in the United States, owing to its massive business drive, Governor Inuwa Yahya, who chairs the Northern State Governors Forum, promises to raise awareness amongst his colleagues to create a conducive business environment in the northern region.
Leaders in Ogoniland are asking for a review of the Ogoni Power Project to focus on off-grid power generation and distribution, tapping into the abundant natural resources in the area. The Ogoni leaders made this demand, amongst other suggestions, at a project review meeting organized by the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, has this report.
Sitting in this conference room are prominent Ogoni sons and daughters, both serving and former public office holders, as well as other leaders in Ogoniland. They are guarded to be briefed on the successes and challenges of the ongoing Ogoni remediation and restoration projects. Part of their suggestions include reducing government bureaucracy to speed up the implementation of the UNEP report. They also want stability in HYPREP's leadership. On the ongoing power project, they call for a review, emphasizing the importance of utilizing Ogoni's natural gas for electricity generation in the area.
The power project, the kind of fund we are putting into the power project is huge, and I'm worried. I'm worried because we are putting this huge into the project to still come back on the national grid that is not even sustainable itself. It's not even working. They give you 5 hours light per day, and we're putting this volume of funds into it. Today, Aba is working because there is a sustainable power project based on gas.
In his response, the project coordinator of HYPREP, Professor Nene Barani-Zabe, clarifies HYPREP's position and says he will take their message to the Ministry of Environment.
Let me emphasize that it is one of the key deliverables of the Renewed Hope agenda. This obligation includes completing all ongoing projects, remediating the complex sites, continuous and transparent community engagement, and delivering tangible benefits that improve daily lives. HYPREP is committed to these responsibilities, and we must engage the project along this line.
However, earlier in his presentation, Professor Zabe reaffirmed the government's commitment to implementing the UNEP report recommendations. He highlighted the progress he's made in various aspects of the project.
Simultaneously, the construction of Phase 2 water facilities is nearing completion in some lots and will be commissioned soon. 6 commissioned water schemes continue to supply potable water to 16 Ogoni communities. HYPREP's efforts extend beyond physical infrastructure. We undertake strategic capacity building and community engagement. We recently conducted a successful procurement and business strategy workshop, a career and employability workshop to enhance entrepreneurial skills. Over 7,000 Ogoni youths and women are employed in the various projects.
The participants, who seem satisfied with the present management of HYPREP, passed a vote of confidence on the project coordinator. HYPREP, established in 2017 to clean and restore Ogoniland as recommended by the United Nations Environmental Programme, UNEP, has made noticeable progress in the last 1 year. The cleanup continues alongside flagship projects like the Center of Excellence, Ogoni Specialist Hospital, as well as empowerment programs for the youths. HYPREP also engages stakeholders every quarter to ensure that communities are carried along in its activities. Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
Let's find out what's happening in the world of business. Laddie Williams has details.
Thanks, Melinda. Well, in business, Nigeria's currency, that's the Naira, ended the month of May weaker against the dollar at the official forex market, posting a 5.6% decline within the month. This comes despite improvement in forex liquidity and the Apex Bank's efforts to impose various restrictions on BDC activities such as street trading, international outward transfers, and the prohibition of the local currencies present on virtual P2P trading platforms. According to data from the FMDQ Daily Market Summary, the local currency fell to 1,485 Naira 99 kobo against the world's #1 currency on Friday, which is weaker than the 1,402 Naira quoted at the beginning of May on the Nigerian foreign exchange market. And to some company news now, listed energy giants Gerigu Power PLC has signed a partnership with German multinational technology conglomerate Siemens Energy to expand the capacity of the indigenous power company. In a statement sent to the Nigerian Exchange Limited, Gerigu says the MOU, which was signed in Berlin, aims to ensure sustainable, resilient and efficient power generation while safeguarding the longevity of assets. This is all aimed at supporting the growth and sustainability of the Nigerian electricity supply industry. Chairman of the Board of Directors of Geregu Power PLC, Mr. Femi Otedola, led the Nigerian company's team, while the Managing Director for the Middle East and Africa, Mr. Dietmar Sesdorfer, led the Siemens Energy team. And the Director General and CEO of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Segun Ajayi-Kude, believes that this is not the right time to negotiate a new minimum wage. Mr. Ajayi-Kude was also a member of the Tripartite Committee of the new minimum wage, also pointed out that the economy has been facing challenges and needs revamping before coming out with a new minimum wage.
We see what has happened is that all of us in the tripartite, the government, the labor, and the private sector, we all knew that we were operating in a very difficult environment. The government itself realized that it has limited capacity to pay. The private sector is constrained by macroeconomic and infrastructure security challenges. So we're also constrained to pay. And labor is under intense pressure from its constituency to ask for higher wages because inflation has hit the roof and the operating environment is tough. The average income compared to what it can buy is shrinking. So we were all uptight about the operation. And throughout the negotiation process, we made it known that this is not the best of times to negotiate minimum wage. This is not the best. This is the time for us to agree to grow the economy, queue behind the government, and grow the economy in such a way that we will bake a bigger cake and then we'll be able to share. I mean, we must not lose sight of the fact that before this administration came in, our economy suffered. And we are now experiencing the hardness of insensitivity of government to what needed to be done at the appropriate time.
And to the markets now. The domestic stock market closed the last trading week of May in positive note, up by 1.73% after gaining in all the week's trading sessions. The month in May came to an end on Friday. Despite 3 consecutive weeks of losses, the perfect gains recorded this week pushed the overall performance for May into the green zone with a 1.09% month-to-date gain recorded on the market. This was largely driven by bargain hunting activities of investors for the shares across the banking, oil and gas, consumer goods, as well as insurance sectors of the NGX, while profit-taking ensued on the industrial goods counter. Fidelity Bank tops a list of 45 gainers with more than 22% increase on its share price, while CNI Leasing led 24 other losers with an over 1% decline on its share price. The trio of Abbey Mortgage Bank, Axis Holding Company, and Zenith Bank were the top 3 contributors to a total volume of 2.18 million shares traded for 31.3 billion naira this week. And that's it on business. Is now to Victoria with sports.
Many thanks, Laddie. In the exciting world of sports tonight, Real Madrid are winners of the Champions League after they defeated Borussia Dortmund 2-0 to clinch the title for the 15th time at Wembley Stadium. Dani Carvajal headed in from Toni Kroos's corner on 74 minutes before Vinicius Jr. fired into the far corner to extend the Spanish Giants' record as the most successful club in Champions League history. Real Madrid have now won the last 9 European Cup finals and won the competition 6 times in the last 11 seasons. Carlo Ancelotti also extended his record as the most successful coach in the competition's history with his 5th title. And meanwhile, Real Madrid fans have celebrated at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium after their team defeated German side Borussia Dortmund to win the Champions League. More than 80,000 fans gathered at the stadium to see the Los Blancos rule European club football again. Meanwhile, Jose Mourinho has been named as the new coach of Turkish club Fenerbahce. Mourinho has been out of work since being sacked by Roma in January. The Portuguese manager has 8 league trophies on his CV across 4 countries: England, Italy, Portugal and Spain. He's also won 5 major European trophies, including the Champions League with Inter Milan and Porto and Europa League with Manchester United. And Petro Atletico have beaten Al Ahly Tripoli of Libya 107-94 to win the 2024 Basketball Africa League title at the BK Arena in Kigali, Rwanda. This is Petro Atletico's first continental title since winning the 2015 FIBA Africa Champions Cup. The Angolan champions trailed 52-40 at the break, but managed to turn things around in the third quarter to end at Ali's 3-game winning streak in the postseason. Nicolas Faust led Petro Atletico with 24 points, while Mark Cummins added 20 points off the bench. With the win, Petro Atletico earned the right to represent Africa at the FIBA Intercontinental Cup in September in Singapore.
Their second final, they get themselves the crowns as champions of Africa. I get the same impression. Quick transition, Diabate, give it to...
And afternoon's Fourth News is now back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Victoria. On the international scene, as South Africa's ruling party, the African National Congress, ANC, continues to lose its grip, other political parties are beginning to embrace the concept of a coalition government. Current election results indicate that the ANC has lost its hold on an outright majority in what experts are calling its most challenging election since 1994. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Semosa, has this report.
This is the Independent Electoral Commission leaderboard, where dreams are born and some are dashed. The newly formed Umkhonto weSizwe party is making strides. As coalition talks continues behind the scenes, the party has stated that it is not prepared to work with Ramaphosa's ANC.
We will not negotiate with Ramaphosa's ANC. We'll engage with the ANC, but we won't engage with Ramaphosa's ANC.
Meanwhile, the DA is not ruling out the possibility of working with the African National Congress.
We first have to talk to our partners, but I do want to also make this point that we are not blinded to the fact that at some point we did warn about a possible MK, EFF, ANC coalition. And we are going to do everything in our power to try and prevent that from happening, because we do think that it will lead South Africa into a downward spiral.
The economic freedom fighters acknowledge that they're not the only party losing votes.
We are not losing votes. The only people who are losing votes is everyone else. You can name any political party. You saw even the walk of Gwede Mantashe, you'd swear that it's got gout already.
There's no way that you can work with the MK party, perhaps?
Please don't try and push me. I've answered that now. Right. I'm not going to come here to give sound bites. Also, I'm not going to come here to try now and create a narrative. What I'm saying
it was not the disrespect. No, it was just the question.
I understand. What I'm saying is that the issue for the IFP right now is results. Any other issue will be informed by results.
Well, we had the opportunity here to speak to big political parties, and the numbers are simply not looking good for the ruling African National Congress. Our attempt to speak to the ruling African National Congress was indeed unsuccessful. From Johannesburg, South Africa, I am Innocent Semosa, Channels Television News.
And the main news again. The federal government today appealed to organized labor to return to the negotiation table ahead of the planned indefinite strike called by the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress on Monday. President Bola Tinubu has condemned killings of 5 soldiers by suspected militants of the proscribed terrorist organization IPOB, describing it as unwarranted, barbaric and evil, just as Governor Alex Oti of Abia State paid a condolence visit to the families of the slain soldiers. And a new political landscape has emerged in South Africa as the nation's ruling party, the African National Congress, continues to lose grip on power. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.
Mandate secretaries. What do they do? Who are they accountable to? And for my guest, who is the mandate secretary, Area Council Services Secretariat, what has he accomplished since he was sworn in September of last year? This is our conversation today on Dateline Abuja. And in the light of all the cases of kidnappings and murders experienced in the area councils, we try to find where the fault line